And we are live August 29th, 2022 at 8:01 p.m. on a Monday, not a Sunday, because Sean is watching wrestling right now. So I just want to thank everybody joining me tonight. And happy Power Rangers Day. Oh, wait, that was yesterday. That was yesterday. I know why we're all here, so let's just dive right in. Swiggy, Team Rock won Splatoon's we're all here. So yes, we're all here because Team Rock rocked the competition against paper and scissors. And yes, if any of y'all don't play Splatoon, you just need to play Splatoon. It comes out in 2 weeks. If you have a Nintendo Switch, just invest in it. I'm just saying. That's just saying. So no, I know why we're all here because it is week 1 of college football, and all that comes on our Wednesday show, Swiggy, because we are going to recap week 0. We've got the fan vote going on. We've got of Evan and Vickers committing. We've got so much stuff to talk about, and we have to laugh at Nebraska and Texas from over the weekend. So, Ricky, how are you, buddy? Thanks for joining me tonight on such short notice. My weekend was good, buddy. I had a haircut. I got rock. Woo! It's definitely a Monday. Rock won the Splatfest, and I got to DM for tabletop. So, I'm just saying. So, everybody as well, welcome. Swiggy, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. Ended up watching football over the weekend, a little bit of baseball, and I am done with Resident Evil 3 remake.
Oh yeah, did Nemesis chase you a whole lot around?
Oh, of course he did. Now I get to do 4, a game in which I could speed run the first 3 games in a row before I can even finish 4. So,
oh, I love 4. 4 is such a good one. It ruined the series for like 2 games, but we don't talk about that.
Really only 1. 5 is over. 5 is overhated. 6. It's overhated because it's not a Resident Evil game, but it's
5.
The thing is, both 5 and 6 are functional. They're just not really Resident Evil games as people want them.
5 is hated on, but the direction and the art direction for sure was really weird. I'm just saying, Rage Roy Chris, and Chris, like
it was very late 2000s, like PS3 era, which is an era I
like
personally
1990
hate.
Captain America.
It's an era I personally hate in games because as much as I like Xbox, as much as I liked Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, that year was not known for colorful games.
I know. But regardless, let's give the audience what they want.
Yeah.
Swiggy, let's dive right into the football because I know y'all want to hear us talk some football. So first off, if you have not voted, guys, go to Fox Sports' college football Twitter and vote OU. We're in the running for a national championship. Kind of. Go vote because we are in the finals against Texas Tech. And as we are talking right now, Texas Tech is beating us, I think, like 50.7 to 49.3. This is unacceptable, Sooner fans. We have one day to win a virtual national championship that does not count towards anything except bragging rights at this point. So go vote. Destroy them. Let's do it. Let's work together. So that all the way. Swiggy, you said you mentioned that you watched some college football over the weekend, just like all of us. Where do you want to start with week 0? Do you want to start with our opponents? Do you want to start with that we have on the schedule? Was there anything interesting? Were you surprised that your picks are probably going to make you cry on Wednesday when I tell you how well you did?
We got, we got to start with Nebraska.
Let's start with UTEP because we faced UTEP this week.
Okay.
Let's just be very brief about UTEP because let's be honest, we can go to Nebraska a little bit. So
yeah,
I'll be up front, and we will go over this on Wednesday with Gavin and Justin. UTEP did not impress me. They completely fell apart, and they just could not keep getting out of their way. I think the sad part was UTEP was favored against North Texas by 5 points, and they lost 31-13.
Yeah, that was just.
What's your explanation for it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when it comes to mid majors, you never like stuff can just vary wildly from year to year with them so much. And I expected more. I expected a little bit more from UTEP. They looked fine going into halftime, only down one, and then things just fell apart in the second half for them.
Yeah.
I think UTEP's QB was like less than 50% as far as accuracy went. It was a very weak zero football game where it was very ugly.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, and I want to make this clear. The Mean Green team is not a bad team. They went 6-7 last year. They were 6-6 in the regular
Yeah,
season. But this isn't going to get any easier for UTEP. Like this was, you needed to win this game just to kind of give you good vibes going in against OU. And this was kind of the worst case scenario because they could just not get out of their way after the rain delay. They missed field goals.
yeah,
They could not convert any short yardage. Key penalties just killed them. And just continually, it seemed like their big thing was they kept going for the long ball. Like
yeah,
UTEP had issues for it. And again, there was other things too as well. Not to mention that their linebacker that they really wanted to start, Breon Hayward, did not suit up due to potential eligibility issues, not academic wise, but basically like does a year count because he transferred but did not play at all. They're
yeah.
trying to still figure this out, but you can't play him until you get the word with it. And we've been a part of that before with what's his face, the wide receiver who transferred in when Baker was here from Missouri. I think DGB was
Yeah,
his name, DGB, and then one of our defensive guys. Like we were waiting on them at this point, so
yeah.
it's not like we're not in unfamiliar territory with that. But at the same time, like you got to feel for him. But UTEP did not impress me, and I am legitimately surprised they just threw up on themselves, especially in that brand new Sun Bowl stadium. Like,
Oh yeah.
ah,
Yeah. That's the thing. Because it really felt like UTEP had taken a step forward last year after a few years where they were probably one of the worst. You can say this about a lot of teams, but they probably were one of the worst teams in college football for a long time.
yeah,
They had a lot. They had a lot of. They had a lot of. Had a lot of winless conference seasons. I think last year was the first year they had won 5 games since last year was the first year they won 5 games since like 2015. So I expected UTEP to continue to take that step forward, but not even be maybe not be great with it because they're still a Midland Conference USA team, but
mm-hmm.
man, they just nothing they did really impressed me, and yeah.
Yep, and we'll go more over that on Wednesday, but definitely for week 0, this was not the best outing for UTEP, as well as for OU. You still want UTEP to win just for that. Have
Oh,
walking in already with a 0-1 team. That just weakens our schedule. And speaking of weakening our schedule, let's just take a collective laugh at Nebraska, even though, like, look, it's beating a dead horse, but Nebraska. You have to fire Frost. There is no other way around it. You rehired him. And I am on the record, and I want it to be known to all 4 live streamers that are watching right now, hopefully more into the future, but all 4 live streamers right now that I am on the record that said when Scott Frost was hired at Nebraska, that he was fool's gold at UCF and that he faced weak competition and that they inflated his numbers. And I said, there are better coaches out there, namely K-State's coach right now, should have been hired. I also said the same thing when Gundy was close to going to Tennessee, that they should have hired K-State's coach. But they didn't, and they went with Scott Frost, and we see the result of it. He is John Blaking that program. Now, keep in mind, I understand there's a lot of more things with the honestly, Nebraska shot themselves in the foot when they moved to the Big Ten because let's be honest, at least in the Big 12, you were number 2 or number 3 big dog. You go over there, you're not even really in the middle because Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State are kind of your programs. And then there's going to be ones that go to like the kid programs, like a Rutgers or something because they grew up around it.
Yeah.
But they don't have the recruiting advantage that they did at least in the Big 12, where it was just enough for it. Kids don't want to go to Nebraska, even though the fans are some of the best fans ever.
Oh yeah.
The kids don't want to go. You can't compete against that with it because again, at least in the Big 12, you had the northern side of it where kids who didn't want to go to K-State, they didn't want to go to Kansas, they'll go to Nebraska. It's a close enough, what we would call an elite program at the time,
Yeah.
for it, not anymore. But that being said, Swiggy, what is wrong with Nebraska?
They don't win, and that's when geography really goes against you. Because I mean, if you were winning, if they were in the college football playoff, if they had a mastermind of a head, like let's say Scott Frost was a mastermind. Let's say he was even at the level of Jimbo Fisher. Let's just say he's Jimbo.
Mhm.
All those things you talk about with Nebraska go away because even though there's nothing to do, even though you're against other ones, people want to go where they can get prepared for the NFL, where they can get drafted, where they're able to do it. Nebraska just isn't doing that. I mean, I'd even say, look, they play in the Big Ten West, which has some of the which they should be able to do well in the Big Ten West. I mean, just looking at it, their conference is Northwestern, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue, Wisconsin, and themselves.
Not to mention, too, that's where I go into play that unless it's Iowa, in my opinion, Wisconsin, maybe in a little bit of Minnesota, a lot of them, Nebraska is like facing teams that they're going to because that's what their families grew
Yeah,
up with. And it's not enough
yeah,
to move from Wisconsin or Iowa to Nebraska.
yeah. I mean, that's just very much how the Big Ten is, and they just don't have and even then, they're not good enough, and they don't have the footprint they need in these areas. Because if you're Iowa, well, Iowa State. I'm not leaving Wisconsin because I've always wanted to play for the Badgers. Purdue. I'm not leaving Purdue. Not leaving Purdue. I've always wanted to. This one was always want to play for Purdue. It's like your recruiting is Nebraska, and and hey, here's the thing: a good coach can get away with that. Like
Mhm.
a good coach could easily have Nebraska one or two in the West each year, competing for a bit, competing for a chance to go to the Big Ten championship game, and that fixes a lot of issues. Because, like, what is there like even Iowa? What's there really to do in Iowa? But Kirk Ferentz is a great coach. He's not leaving
Mhm.
Iowa. He is staying there forever, and Iowa just keeps on almost every year making a bowl game because they have realistic expectations. Nebraska, you have a lot of politics in the athletic department, a lot of stuff with fans, and now it's just. I mean, I liked the Frost hire because I thought okay, I thought even if he just kind of brought Nebraska back to some relevance, that would just help the program in general buoy itself.
Yeah.
They are just sinking like a I mean, they're sinking like a lead balloon. The last team that Scott Frost beat that finished the last FBS team that finished over 500 that he beat was in 2018.
And it was Penn State, wasn't it?
I think it was Michigan State, and they had to kick like 3 fourth quarter field goals.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
but yeah,
at
it's
some
bad.
point,
It's bad.
yeah, at some point, I saw this on Twitter yesterday and I absolutely agree. Look, I know people keep on saying this is the best 3-19. It doesn't matter. You lost
No. Yeah.
9. It does not matter. If this was like a 1 or 2 off, or this was a 1 year type of deal, because we've seen that with Bob
Yeah.
before, where he would drop a game like 8-5 on it, and then we bounce back for a couple years, and we regress for like a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
this keeps going. This is a coaching
s-
failure.
and I mean that's the thing. Some years you just have bad luck. No one
Correct.
is really, and and with good coaches, you kind of just put up with it because look, there are gonna be years you don't want. You shouldn't be 8-5, but when weird stuff happens every now and then. It's like, and that kind of feels like that's the floor at OU, at least At least that it has been since Bob took over, where that was pretty much the
Mhm.
floor. We knew we're going to a bowl game, we'll be fine. But Frost, I mean, and you know what? And in retrospect, maybe hiring a guy who was who only had 2 seasons at Central Florida, 6 and
Yeah.
7. He did have the 13-0, but a lot can go into that. I mean, 4-8, 5-7, 3-5 in the COVID year, 3-9 last year, and he's just not beating anyone. I mean, that onside kick was just was just
That was dumb.
so okay. I'm going to say this here: if it was a 14-point lead, I might have been able to get I might have been able to kind of get what he was going for. You're trying to end Northwest, you're trying to end Northwestern. You want the ball back. Think you can, you think you can at least get a field goal, make it a 3-score game, and then Northwestern just can't do it.
Hmm.
I don't understand. Like, and even and I'll just say this here: I might understand it when it's a 14-point lead. It's still very dumb with a 14-point lead. But
Yeah.
with an 11-point lead, like, okay, your best case scenario, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you go up 18, but but we're which is good, but your absolute worst case is Northwestern gets the ball, drive downfield. It's a one, and it's not just a one possession game anymore. It's
Hmm.
if they get a touchdown, you're losing.
Yeah.
Like, at least with 14 points, like I said, okay, worst case, it's a one possession game, but if they score, you're still tied. If you kick a field goal, you'll still win the game. But I just I just do not understand what that was.
It's
And
bad.
and they just look bad all game. Like, no, like that's just been Nebraska under Frost, where everything just looks bad. They just never look prepared. They never look physical enough. They just
Even against Northwestern, they looked. That's probably why they played in Dublin. Swiggy is because they needed to drink to make sure, like, oh, the game's actually happening.
mhm.
Even Casey Thompson looked bad, and he
Yeah,
had some little highlights here and there. But
yeah.
when you don't have what's his face Xavier from Texas to throw to,
Mhm.
you don't look that good.
Yeah, consider this here. This just kind of says where Nebraska is in a nutshell. And yeah, they've had guys drafted, but their last fir- but like their last first round pick was Pri- was Prince Amukamara back in
Mhm.
2011. Since
Yeah.
then, since then they've had one, two. They've had. Let me see here. They've had. I know they've had. Let's see. So I'll just go since 2012, just to give them just to make it fair. One, two, three, four, five. They've had only 6 second-round picks in 10 years. Almost
What
all of their almost all their picks are fourth round or later. A lot of
what do
seventh
you
round guys.
All right, I'm going to throw a question at you. Well, I'm going to throw the tough question at you first. Well, no, the easy one, and then go from there.
Hmm.
I know it's not going to happen, but bear with me. If you were in
Hmm.
charge of Nebraska's program, would you have left Scott Frost on the tarmac? And be honest, would you have left him there?
Unfortunately, no, because his buyout is too much just to leave him there. But if money's not an object, but if I don't care about money,
Hmm.
yes, he should. Yes, he should. Yes, that's such a that's such a back-breaking loss. For like, I can't even really go into I can't really go into it. That was such a
He
back-breaking
failed.
loss here. He did. And things are likely to get worse for Nebraska.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're gonna see what happens this year, but if Adrian Martinez comes out and balls at K-State, what does that? What does that really say about the state? What does that really say about the state of the Nebraska program? If that happens, I'm not saying it
Hmm.
will, but that's a giant embarrassment.
Yeah.
Your schedule at the very least gets a little easier. You get North Dakota, you can win that. Georgia Southern, you can win that. But then I thought, oh, you might be a trap game, but I'm not, unless we just look bad against UTEP, I'm not thinking that anymore. But even
Yeah.
then, like this should be like even then, Nebraska has such a favorable schedule this year. I mean,
Hmm.
the only ranked teams they have, they're only looking at 3 ranked matchups right now. Admittedly, their November's hard because November for them would be Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, and that's kind of that's even even with even yeah, that's just kind of hard in general, even if you don't like those teams. But like their first half of the season it's just Oklahoma's the only team that they play until November,
Yeah.
and they'll beat North Dakota, they'll beat Georgia Southern just because they have enough talent. They still have Big Ten talent. It's hard to lose to FCS opponents. It happens, but it does. Actually, I think Georgia Southern is FBS now. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Georgia Southern's FBS. Yeah.
they're FBS. But even then, but they're a small school.
Yeah.
So, but that should be at work. But that should be at worst, going into November, you should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should be 6-2 at worst, going to those last 4 games. And if
Yeah.
Frost had done that, that'd be very winnable. No one really expects him to be able to beat Oklahoma. Nobody really, but maybe you drop one. But it's just nothing about Nebraska looks good. Nothing about them looks like a functional football team at this point. And that's not going to change. Frost is probably going to be fired as soon as they can. And I don't know who takes over that program,
Well, that
but
was going to be my next question to you, Swiggy. Is
mhm.
October 1st, his buyout goes down. I expect him gone October 1st. I would put it in our pick'ems that week. Is Scott Frost gone the
Ye-
moment his buyout drops? Yes or
yep.
no on it? And then now here's the question, and it's the same. I said this in the earlier part of the stream. It's the same thing Oklahoma State went through. It's the same thing Nebraska went through. Other programs. Who do you go get? There isn't anybody right now. That's like a shining star.
Um,
Even in FCS, there is nobody.
I don't think he'd go for it. The problem is, I just don't really. Even names you're throwing, or even names that have been thrown around. It's like Mark Stoops isn't leaving Kentucky. Matt
No.
Matt Campbell's not leaving Iowa State for Nebraska unless they pay him just an ungodly amount of money, which I mean I'm just honestly I'm trying to think who they could like.
I got one. I have one.
Okay,
Matt Ince out of North Dakota State. He's a prodigy just like Kleiman was. I go get him. He's
that's
won two
pro
natties with North Dakota past Kleiman, who hasn't been there for about, I think, 3 years now, going on
that's your
4.
that's your bet. I don't think he's a guy who has too many options, but that's 100% who Nebraska should target.
You got to get someone outside the program.
You're just not going to get anyone big, like
No.
like at this point, the ones you're getting are coordinators who just want any chance they can get
Mm-hmm.
because there are guys who just aren't any high like the Georgia defensive coordinator, whoever he is this year, and I don't know exactly, don't know that, but just but he's not going to Nebraska, and
No, he's not.
you're not getting any. you're not getting any highly ranked coach linked to bigger programs. And maybe you can raise the money and pay someone an ungodly amount to do it.
Yeah.
But even then, for a lot of guys, they see that as a career killer. It's
Yeah.
that's just where it is at this that's just where it is at this point, because you only get so many chances to coach.
Yeah.
I mean, so your options are either someone, and I don't think uh, realistically Nebraska could not do this, but you'd have to get someone like your only other option other than going with someone small and unknown would be trying to fit Art Briles in there or some other former disgraced coach who wants a second chance. But
I got
that's just not happening.
I need to see who it is, but okay, I'm gonna throw another one at you.
Okay.
I mean, and we're this low with Nebraska at this point, and it makes me think of Texas Tech. Texas Tech reached
Mm-hmm.
out to Jones, Oklahoma, to pick, I think, their head coach, and now he moved up in the world. And I think he's an analyst over there now for Texas Tech, like a big, huge promotion
Mm-hmm.
for him. Do you go as far as high school and look at who's there at this point? And I'm serious. I'm not. And then this is not me throwing Nebraska under
I
the bus. It is.
yeah I
Do you
no
go this low at this point?
I no I
Because
don't
you
think
don't want to be in the
no
Texas situation where it's like, oh, who's in Nick Saban school rehabilitated coaches and go for them. I mean, that's why
yeah
Texas is in the situation they're in right now with Sark.
yeah
And I'm serious. Do you go for a high school, like at least a good one, like an Allen, Texas, or something like that? You go get a good coach from that and say, all right, this is your chance. Can you do it? But you have to go outside the program.
yeah I think no matter what, you need to go outside the program for the next one. I don't think you go high school. Nebraska, for as much as they've been diminished,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're really sure on that high school hire, you're essentially giving, like, there comes a point where you do have to you have to keep fans at least passionate,
Yeah.
and going from Frost to a bad high school coach would just really that could be a real nail in the program. So if you go
And yeah.
you can go high school, but you have to hit that out of the park. Whereas if you go at least someone like if you go like even someone like the Nick Saban, let's see, I'll say Bill O'Brien for example. I don't think he, I don't think he'd go there. But Nick Saban School of Rehabilitate Coaches, at least Bill O'Brien is a name. At least there's someone who you think you could maybe do something with, and you at least still get people excited. But
Is there anybody from the NFL that you go for that's doing horribly and would go backwards like, say, Nick Saban did?
if the wheels fall off the if the wheels fall off the Cardinals wagon, you could maybe overpay Cliff, but he'd be the only one I could. He's the only one. I mean, he's the only one I'm thinking of right now. Because I mean, Pete. I mean, we're probably seeing close to the end of Pete Carroll in Seattle. I honestly think Carroll's just kind of burning the year without Russell Wilson, but I just don't see Pete Carroll willing to go to Nebraska.
Okay. What about
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they'd have a better chance of convincing. I mean, they shouldn't do it. No one should do it because it's just going to kill you in the long run. But Nebraska seems. My guess is Nebraska goes after at least calls Urban Meyer.
gosh, how the
I
mighty have
I I
fallen then at that point?
I don't like that, but at the same time, that's definitely like that's where Urban is right now is probably a, it's the only position where you could get him. I don't think he'd say yes. I don't think you want Urban Meyer, but
You got to do something.
exactly. And like I mean, Urban Meyer, like okay, Urban Meyer didn't win the NFL. Who cares? He's won everywhere in college. He can probably he can recruit. He can if he's smart. If he can navigate NIL, it's eh, like I said, that's just kind of where Nebraska is right now, where you do have to seriously consider at least you do just have to seriously consider talking to Urban Meyer, because other than that, you're getting
There's
low.
nobody.
Other than that, you're getting low end coordinators. A guy who's looking to make his shot, and might see Nebraska as a stepping stone, because it's like, well, if you do bad in Nebraska, it's not your fault. Everyone does bad in Nebraska, but if you do great in Nebraska, hey, you've at least given us to the level where, Washington would hire you. God, that's sad. I think Washington's better than Nebraska now.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, now the chat said this, and I agree with them. I wouldn't go for Pete Carroll, Swiggy, just because
No,
he's
no,
70. Like for
yeah,
the age alone, it's why I wouldn't get Whipple, promote
yeah.
him to head coach. They're only going to be there maybe 5 years at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever
and I,
coach you go ahead, go ahead.
no, I mean, and I do agree with that. I mean, I'm just throwing Carroll out there. I was just kind of, so, I mean,
I
that's
got
just more. That's just more. Even if he was only there 5 years, though, if he could at least stabilize the program away from the Frost years, that's all you really. I mean, that's what they need at this point. Like,
ooh,
at least
I have
stabilizing it. But
okay. I got one for you as well. I got two. First one is whoever they get up there, they have to hit basically what Bob and Bill Snyder did at Kansas State. You have to go. You start with nothing and
yeah,
work your way up. You have to do the hard work for it, or it's not going to work. What about Gary Patterson, just to get them back on track?
that would be very. That would be an inspired hire. Patterson worked well with TCU. He's somewhat, even as long as you have realistic expectations with Gary Patterson, I think Patterson would be a good one.
What about Sean Payton?
Sean Payton's not saying yes to Nebraska. Sean Payton just hanging out waiting for another NFL job for a couple of years. I just I could not see him going to Nebraska.
That's fair.
I think
I'm,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think you at least like whenever Nebraska starts their coaching search, you need to at least put out feelers to these guys just to see.
mhm.
But you have to have realistic expectations with what this is going to be. You're really not getting a ringer unless you're getting someone on the downswing, and any upswing guy is going to be a high risk guy. So
Yeah, but if you're Nebraska, you got to get somebody. You have to get
oh, you
someone
do.
to get them to 6-6. And I'll be upfront, and I'm gonna say it. I don't know if they go for it. What about Bo Pelini again, just to stabilize
No,
the program?
I don't think so. He didn't even coach last year. He was dismissed from LSU because I've thought that too, but he wasn't exactly inspiring at Youngstown State. At this point, there's just too much there with Bo Pelini. It's
Do you
it,
think that Nebraska is going through the same thing that Texas is? It's nepotism that they have to look beyond their program at other places and just see who they can get at this point because they're limited to like, yes, it's Nebraska. Everybody wants Nebraska back because Nebraska winning is good for everybody.
yeah,
However, you have to pick someone at this point, and that's coming. I think they know it's coming, and I think some of it too is it's the athletic director, just like at Oklahoma State.
yeah.
It's the athletic director has a problem with it as well. Like he is part of the problem.
Yeah,
So
oh yeah. I mean, you don't get where you are at Nebraska or even Tennessee or even Texas just without so just without a lot of things going wrong. And I mean, a lot of it does come down to nepotism. It's like, their athletic director, he was a Nebraska guy. Fantastic, it's like, yeah, fantastic center. Great. It,
yeah,
I don't care at this. I don't care at this point. What you need someone who is going to come in, make the necessary changes, give you the infrastructure, get the boosters excited, get someone who can recruit, and and understand how to temper fans' expectations.
Yeah.
You're not going to hire someone and within 3 years be in college football playoff level.
Yeah.
You need to have someone come in, say, look, it's a new world. We have NIL, we have all these things, we have certain challenges. We can get around it, but we need to be focused on it. And you need to find a guy who, honestly, whoever Nebraska hires, I would immediately have a list of people to ready as his replacement. Not because I think you need to fire him. Whoever you hire this time, you just have to acknowledge this guy. Whoever you hire now might is probably just going to be using this program as a stepping stone. That's fine. But you have to have an athletic director who is able to be real about that. You'll do everything you can to keep him if he's good, but you always need to have a list ready and have thoughts in the back of your mind what to do if let's say Penn State opens up and they hire him away.
Yep.
You just you need someone who has that kind of forethought, who has that kind of godfather like talent, and they just need like basically you need to get someone outside the program who also understands the history and respects the program.
Yeah.
I don't know where you find such a person,
You
but
got
that's
6
what
weeks.
you need. That's what you need. That's what you
Yep.
need.
And not inside the Nebraska program. That's the
Yep.
big thing. What's funny though, Swiggy, is Nebraska wasn't even the biggest loser over the weekend. You know who the biggest loser was? South Carolina, because they did not name the Rooster Cock Commander. They named it the General, and I'm very disappointed that they did not go with the fan vote. I'm just saying, what? I thought this was America, Swiggy. Democracy's dead. I thought this was or the Rooster McRooster face. Like, I'm just saying, but no. I had to get that in while it was on my mind. But Nebraska they're in deep doo-doo. There is no other way around it. Like, they got problems. And it's, as everyone said, it's not just the administration. It's not just the head coach. It's recruiting as well. It's location. Like, they are just hurting. And I don't know how you turn that around with it, because you're facing Ohio States and Michigan States and Michigans of the world right now. Who do you get? And you have to get someone that's going to stick there the long term and basically be very positive for the players and everything too.
Yep.
So it's like, you got to get someone who can invest players into the cornfield. And I'm being serious. I'm not joking on that one. You have to get someone.
I know you're not. I mean, hey, Cincinnati's been able to do it somehow. So
yeah, and I mean, to be fair with it as well, like, that was always Nebraska's big thing. They could recruit like the farm boys, and they could play football. They were tough. That's not the case anymore. And that's some of it too, is I don't think Scott Frost is doing a good job with the recruitment angle, with like trying to bring in kids with social media and NIL. They've got to do that. Like,
you do. You have to. I mean, you have to do that. You have to. And like I said, once you start winning and competing for stuff, a lot of your problems start to go away. Especially if you're able to do it. It's getting back to that point that's really, 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 really hard to do.
Yeah, I mean,
look at Texas.
Yeah, we'll get to that one in a sec. I want one more question with you for Nebraska, and I'm serious. And again, it's at the point where you can just, it's sad. It's just sad at this point. Does Nebraska? Well, 2 questions. I'm going to do 2.
Okay.
Who comes back first, Kansas or Nebraska? And I'm serious. I'm not being a joke. And I want to make that clear. When I'm joking, I'm going to crack little snide comments. I'm not. Which one's going to be back first? I know. It's a tough question, because
it's very tough, because honestly, if by back you mean makes a bowl game.
No, I mean just getting above 6-6.
Boy. I'm really
I would lean Kansas for the sole fact that they're having a new stadium upgrades, as well as they have actually beaten Texas. Like, they've actually done a little bit, and the coach is competent. I think it's just recruiting is hurting them.
They've gotten more competent over the last 3 years, which doesn't, which I mean, it's not gonna like do a lot for them, but at the very least, let's see.
I mean, right now it is funny. I did see a Reddit comment that would crack you up. Nebraska about 5 years ago was like, "I want Scott Frost to put us in the national conversation." The monkey paw curls. This is not what they meant. They did not say championship conversation. That's the missing link.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Kansas. I don't know. It depends what you think of Lance Leipold. It depends what you think of Lance Leipold. I think I right now I'm going Kansas just because they can get to just the way Kansas goes. Things can get realistic for them. Like this year, they have Tennessee Tech and non-major. I mean, their schedule's actually a bit harder this year than normally is for Kansas. But start being the non-majors. They got West Virginia, Houston, Duke, and the rest of the Big 12. And Kansas is going to have a bit of an advantage with OU and Texas. Well, actually, Texas leaving hurts them probably, but
mhm.
uh, but with OU and Texas leaving, the conference is definitely going to open up. It's going to open up they'll have a shot. I could see them one year just kind of lucking their way into 7 wins, and then the coach leaves.
Yeah.
But right now I don't see that with Nebraska, even though that should be like the bare minimum that Frost does.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I read a stat yesterday too on it, and I brought it up here. Is you have to realize, like right now, Scott Frost is 15-30 at Nebraska. Bo Pelini was fired for going 67-27, and even if Scott Frost like won his games, he would be like
Yeah,
65-30. He would still be worse. Like it's time. It's time,
yeah,
and Nebraska needs to do it. I don't know why they did not move before. Speaking of nepotism and stuff, though, too. Did you see the news about Texas and that all the issues? First off, let's make it clear. The donors made it clear that Ewers was going to start, even though
yeah.
he's probably not as good as Card. Did you see the news that came out of Texas, though, that Sark wanted to put Ewers or Card on the depth chart, but the big money donor said they weren't going to do that, so now they're not going to have a depth chart at all?
There's times where I just keep on seeing dysfunction, and Texas just it, it it's just
Say
so
it. Use your
disappointing.
words. Just say it. Texas
It, it,
sucks.
it's just so disappointing. There's no reason to not put. If that's true, there's no reason to put out a depth chart. I mean, like I joke with baseball a lot of the time how managers really don't have a say anymore. It's general managers pulling the strings. But like, if that's the situation that Texas is in, you are only going to find one very specific kind of head coach, and it is not the kind of coach that wins you the national championships.
Yeah. And
Like the, uh, mhm.
ugh,
like like booster problems and not giving enough money not giving enough money to the football program is why Jimbo left Florida State.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. You just have to you really just have to consider that there. It's like okay, so let's say this happens to Sark. Let's say he puts up with it for a few years, things don't break his way, he gets fired again. Where do you go for your Texas if it's known that at this point the boosters who are running NIL are the ones who are running the show there?
So Sean has said this before, and I've embraced this because it's true. Can we just all admit Texas is somewhat of a blue blood? I don't consider them one of the core blue bloods. To be
No.
honest, I think there's only 5 in no particular order: OU, Bama, Ohio State, USC, Notre Dame. To me, those are the 5. I do not consider Michigan, Texas, or Nebraska as blue
Hmm.
bloods with it. But even let's roll with it. Let's roll with them being part of it. The big thing, though, is Texas is ruled by the donors.
Yeah.
And Mac Brown was able to, at least at minimum, go through the waters, go through and manage it. And he could appease the high school coaches. That's one of the big things you got to do is you got to appease high school coaches and you have to appease those donors. The big thing, though, with Texas is take their best coach and their worst coach, drop them. And that is the program. And let's be honest, Texas has had, you drop, pick your Darrell Royal, pick your Mac Brown. I would drop Mac Brown.
Yeah.
Texas has only been a solid program like that for 10 years. Yeah, they'll get their bowl wins and all that. That's kind of the other one. But they're not as good as what everybody thinks is. Look at OU. Take our best coach and our worst coach. Our worst coach was John Blake. Okay. Take our best coach. Well, Benny, Bud, Barry, Bob, and even Riley. Throw him in there because he was good. This is the thing that I've realized with Texas is what everybody is trying to jinx OU for and knock on the damn wood for it.
Yeah.
They keep on saying, oh, when you hire a coach, you're going to have regression. OU has not had that. Knock on wood with Venables. But OU has not really taken a step backwards with that outside of that very brief period in the 90s for it. Nebraska, we see that. We see the post-Osborne era. It's dookie.
Yeah,
Texas, it's can you appease the head coaches, or I'm sorry, the donors, the administration, and the high school coaches? Even Nick Saban went, nope.
Yeah, there's just so much with there's just so much with Texas, and it's like I mean, you know, I mean, and look, a lot of this stuff is rumors. We don't know what's going on. I just think any coach not releasing a depth chart that just comes off as it comes off in a few ways. It's either he has no control over his roster.
No, he doesn't. We knew that problem was going to happen, Andrew, when he was, with all due respect, even though I agree with the donors on this one, when he was not allowed to hire Mike Stoops as one of his defensive guys, you knew.
Yep.
He did not have control of the program.
Yep, and that's bad. Or it says, and once again, I think it is a control thing. But let's say it's not. Let's say he actually has control. It's just so wishy-washy not to put a depth chart. It just means you don't really know how to evaluate your guys.
Yeah.
Because look, sometimes you're gonna screw up a depth chart. Sometimes you're gonna bury someone. Sometimes you're gonna make mistakes. That's part of coaching. Nobody gets 100% right.
Right.
But at the same time, you just need to let people know where they are, because here's the thing:
it's competition between the players too.
The NFL's never going to stop releasing depth charts. All not releasing a depth chart does,
it's a coward's move.
It hurts these guys in the long run, because any other place they go, it's going to be like, here's where you stand as far as our tackles go. There's going to be a depth chart. It's just, that's how it works. I mean, heck, even Major League Baseball has depth charts, although they're not. It's it's a bit different. It's a bit different given baseball, different positions, how many games. It's like even they have depth charts, guys. I mean, just
even Texas, if you don't stick with it, like you got to have something.
Yeah, it comes off as bad. It just comes off.
The only way I see
doing.
Nebraska is the exception to the rule because they have probably the best fan base in college football, because they show up. They could go 0-12 with a lightning, thunderstorms, and tornado coming towards the stadium. They're going to be at that stadium. Texas, to me, the way you fit Texas starting off is if the fans don't show up. When the money dries up, then they will take a hard look at themselves. But Sean is also was in the right when he's like, I wanted the Urban Meyer hire, because if Urban Meyer fails at Texas, that's when they have to take the look of it's us. It's not the coaches.
Yeah,
I think that's coming with Arch Manning. I really do.
Yeah, I think that definitely is. I mean, because right now you have, that QB depth chart is one of those ones that looks really good. But man, we don't know what Ewers is. We don't know what Arch Manning really is. I'm not a big Arch Manning guy, but we don't know what Card is. I mean, no matter what happens at the end of this year, someone's gonna transfer out.
Yep.
Someone's guys
Yep.
are dead. Like I think Card's gonna give it a few games, but Card's probably gone at the end of the season unless
Hmm.
Ewers just plays so badly. Sark has no choice but to bench him, and I just don't know if he will or not because we just don't know.
Yeah.
I do think going from Ohio State to Texas does hurt him a little bit because you don't have that consistency. How much it hurts him, I don't know, but you are doing two different systems here, so
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Um, let's wrap up a little bit of week 0. Anything else from week 0? Because I would say I think the only other game that really threw me for a loop was Vanderbilt just slamming Hawaii. I thought Hawaii would have been a little bit closer. CE, I do not know. I'll let me answer them, Swiggy, really fast. I do not know what the next one's up. I know we're supposed to be getting like I think it's 3 or 5 more guys, but they have not yet announced their recruitment stuff. Like some of the big ones was supposed to be like Hicks and stuff coming up, but they wanted to get that in before high school. And the rumor is he's trying to push the timeline up, but we don't know at this point. It's up to them. Maybe it will be by the end of the season for it. But we got our big guys. Actually, Swiggy, that's something we can move on to with it if you don't have anything for week 0. Because outside the Vanderbilt like smashing Hawaii, which we expected Hawaii to put up a little bit more of a fight in their home state. We can move on to about us picking up Evans and
Uh,
Vickers because that was big.
I only have one more thing. I'm just going to briefly touch on this, just because
Sure.
we're talking about incompetence. They didn't play week 0. Michigan also took a big L week 0.
Is it because their tailgating game is not SEC ready?
Jim Harbaugh announced that Cade McNamara would start week 1 and JJ McCarthy would start week 2.
Stick with one. I'm sorry. I've
He
never been a
he
believer.
he has put yes, he's put he can't pick a quarterback, so he thinks having them play again. Somehow he thinks having them play in a real game setting is going to determine it. But Michigan's football schedule, for example, Colorado State and Hawaii. I just don't know what you learn from either of them doing that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, So as far as losses go, and we'll cover this a bit more late. Cover this a bit more Wednesday or later on. But just keeping with the theme of incompetence, that's such a big L. I just don't know what Harbaugh's doing there. Like that's another thing. I'd be like, do you really know what you're doing, man?
Harbaugh's issue up there is he cannot beat Ohio State and Michigan State at the same year. Like we crack jokes of we beat Texas, but then we lost to Oklahoma State. How do we handle this? He can't do it every year, period. Like I've always said, Michigan is just the Texas of the Big Ten.
They
So
are. It's coming from Big Ten country. It's the most true statement because no college team should be talking about. No college team should be saying, "Oh, we're going to decide our QB competition week 3 against UConn." I just don't. I just don't know it.
and it was UConn. Like, yeah.
It's like I guess that's my point. I just don't know what you're going to learn about like what are you going to learn like Cade McNamara playing against Colorado State? What are you going to learn JJ McCarthy playing against Hawaii? You're not going to learn anything. These aren't conference games because you can't do this during conference games.
Yeah.
I I just mhm. It's one of those things where it's like I've seen some people say, "Oh, it sounds wise." And I'm just like, guys, dumbest thing. This is the dumbest thing that that Harbaugh's done at Michigan, and that's saying a lot.
I think he's been done at Michigan for about 2 years, but that's me.
I mean, he want. I mean, yeah. I mean, he was going to take the Vikings job. If the Vikings offered him a contract, which that was such a that was such a rookie mistake by the Vikings GM.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's his first year as GM. You don't fly Harbaugh out and not offer him a contract. Like you don't just bring him. You don't just fly him out for an interview. It's Harbaugh's too big a coach. If you're flying him in, you are signing him so he doesn't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
What?
that,
Yeah. Let's talk recruiting. Let's talk Evans
yeah, go back
and
to recruiting,
Vickers.
yeah.
So let's talk the Vickers and get it right out of the way. That was a good get for OU, getting Vickers from Alabama. Like, I don't know how else you could say it. Like, that's a good get. What do you think?
Honestly, I've been so impressed. I know some of it has to be some NIL money. I know some of it is other stuff playing in, but man, it's just it does say good things about the about the coaching staff right now
Yeah.
that they that we've been able. I mean, look, back in December, everyone was saying, and all of us knew this. Like, we knew there were going to be decommits. We knew recruiting was going to take a hit. That's fine. It was what it was. You just had to kind of deal with it. The fact that they were able to salvage last year and go hard into this year has been,
And have a top 5 class. I believe this
yeah,
is the highest class OU's ever had, period. Now, again,
yeah,
they have to play on the field. It
yeah.
doesn't matter what it is
Oh
on
yeah.
paper for that. But this, I think, it's the single highest class, and they're not done.
No, they're not.
Them
There's
picking
still
up
more.
Makari Vickers is like I'm laughing at the jokes, and it's also tied into Evans as well, where they're saying OU has the bag. They're accusing us of having bagmen going in with the bag of money at this point. I'm like, I agree with Sean.
Yeah.
OU has arrived. When you're being accused of money in the McDonald's bags, you have arrived.
Oh, come on. Oh, no, we're not going to be cheap with McDonald's. We're at least going to go Whataburger.
That's fair. What a burger in our area with it, of course. What am I thinking? No. I'm sorry. Waffle House. We're a
Oh,
Waffle
Waffle House.
House
Yeah,
person.
Waffle House. Yeah,
We'll
Waffle.
get them an NIL for
Yeah,
Waffle House.
no, it's no, but I mean, like I said, I do think some of it is that. That's just mind you, this is nothing with it. I just think with the way NIL's gone in a big program like OU, I'm just kind of assuming there's stuff in the background. I assume the same thing with Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, though. So
Yeah.
this is not hit on OU. But still, everyone is doing it. You still have to be able to lock down those guys. You still have to be able to convince those guys to come here.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to show it. And like I said, and it's just, and it's been such a coup for the way OU has done things. And
And let's
yeah,
not forget too Evans, because OU was able to flip him at the last couple hours from
mm-hmm.
Georgia. Now, there was probably some stuff with his parents really wanting him to stay home and everything as well.
Yeah.
But you have Makari, then you have Evans for that, which Georgia was convinced, and everybody was convinced that he was going to pick Georgia, only for everyone to go, Georgia lost him. That is,
yeah.
OU is standing right now, Andrew, based on 247 composite at number 5 recruiting class.
Yeah.
Like, think about that for a sec. The number 5 recruiting, and they are not done. They have at least 3 to 5 more guys left, period.
Yeah,
You have to think David Hicks, if he does commit, but things are leaning more OU at this point, how much is that going to jump?
I mean, just having any kind of top 5 class after everything that's happened, not playing it down, losing our quarterback, having to go get another quarterback, because I don't care what Caleb Williams says, he wasn't coming back.
Yeah, I know that.
We all know that, but just being able to recover from that has been huge.
Yeah, and it's just like Riley was never able to do that. He made, I mean, with all due respect, and again, it's not mine. I'm basing a lot from when I chat with Sean on our Sundays. You're usually on the Wednesdays with it.
Yeah.
He has Barry Switzer level of charisma, and he's bringing the people in. Like, I would not be surprised if Brent Venables does the exact same thing as Switzer does, of just show up, kick his feet up, have fun with the family, swap stories and everything, and literally just says, all right, I'll see you at practice. Like, I truly believe they're buying into it, as well as you don't commit unless you're shutting it down. I really do believe the recruits are really liking that. Like, it's not wishy-washy.
No, it's not. And like I said, and look, I'm a big proponent. The most important thing when it comes to recruiting is even more than winning nowadays. Man, I can. You have to make the entire roster believe that you can make them play on Sunday. Now,
Yeah,
that's not feasible. Obviously, that's not going to happen with everyone. They're just, I mean, there are too many schools, too many guys. But the thing is, you have to make everyone believe that you can unlock their potential and you can put them in the best position to play on Sunday.
yeah.
That is what these guys care about
It's
now.
the ones that know that they're going to play on Sunday. Some of them know
Yeah,
that their career kind of ends at college, so let's
yeah,
go all out. They know
yeah,
that it's just
exactly.
not happening.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you need a good balance. And you're right, you need a good balance with that. You need to be able to
Yeah,
convince people you can turn them into a first round draft pick. Or for the ones who aren't, you know what? Maybe I make you a sixth round draft pick. And if not, you had a lot of fun in your career and you won a lot.
yeah. And I want to keep this in mind for a sec, Swiggy. I'm going to tell you some of these and just let it mind blow you. That keep in mind again, and I
Mhm.
cannot stress this enough. We are not done.
No, we're not.
Keep in mind, this class is beating out 2006 class, which had Sammy, Gerald McCoy, Jermaine Gresham, Trent Williams, DeMarco Murray, Dominique Franks, Jonathan Nelson, Chris Brown, Jeremy Beal, and
Yeah.
Quentin Carter. Okay. We're beating out the 1984 class that had like Troy Aikman, Keith, even though we don't really claim Troy Aikman because he
Yeah.
transferred out. Regardless, Troy Aikman, Keith Jackson, Mark Hudson, and Ricky Dixon at that point, with the Boz winning like the Budkiss Award for it. 2004 with Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
I can never say his name, Adelaide, from it, and Garrett Hartley with Marcus Walker and Lindy Holmes. And you can keep going back. 1975 contributors: Billy Sims, George
Yeah.
Cumby, Daryl Hunt, Reggie Kinlaw, Yvonne Shawman. Like 2000, it included Mark Clayton, Antonio Perkins, Wes Sims, Dan Cody, Jimmy Wicker said, like, you can just keep going down. And Teddy Lehman, of course, like
Yeah.
1972. It is beating out those classes. Again, they have to play on the field, and it means nothing
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
until we see it. But that is insane.
Yeah.
Even I'm like going, holy crap. Like, those are household names, and Venables is doing that in year one.
Yeah. I think it's last year's highest ranked recruit was Gentry Williams, a 4-star. He'd be the
Mhm.
seventh highest in our recruiting class this year.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
It's
it's insane. And it's even more. Think about this. Think about this as well. Again, they are not done with it.
no,
Imagine if OU makes it to the playoff this year. Because in my
yeah,
opinion, that's where their bar is. I'm going a little bit more. Yes,
yeah,
we still have some players in the same position. We're discussing more of that on Wednesday.
yeah,
How can you not see that at this point for it? Like
yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
mind blowing.
it's been great. I mean, it helps that Venables. Yeah, like I said, it helps that Venables. He got those Clemson defense. He got those tough Clemson defenses. Even the- you
Yeah,
know, even myself. I think Clemson's kind of overrated because ACC. But his defense could. But a Clemson defense in the Big 12 would have been just deadly. So
I
he
you
still
know what
does it.
I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to ruffle little feathers for it, but it's some stuff I thought about under Tebow. So bear with me for a sec.
Hmm.
Riley, I think we can all agree, hindsight's 2020. I started to think this prior to the 2021 season, near the end of the 2021,
Hmm.
20 to 21 part.
Yeah.
I always got the impression that Riley was doing a little bit too much of being their friend, not necessarily their coach. Now, he can prove me wrong at him over at USC, whatever. At least at his time here,
Yeah.
that was that. And it honestly, to me, I had the same thoughts I've always did with others, with him, like kind of in the same bunch where he seemed like a used car salesman. I'm going to make you a lot of promises, but can I follow through with them? That was always my impression, but I've always kept that kind of to myself for that because, like, maybe it's just I can't read people really well. I'm like, well, maybe that's me just reading it. I say that's versus Brent Venables, who genuinely sounds genuine. Like he is excited for the program. He's going to tell you exactly this is what's going to happen. and he gets you energized for it. Of if we don't win it, I'm still going to prepare you for the NFL. If you're not prepared, I'm going to make sure you have the best time of your life at OU. And it has to be something because the kids are buying into it.
Yeah.
It's the recruiting part of it is just insane to me. Now, do I believe some of it too? There's some outside forces with the NIL, us going to the SEC, probably the OU Texas component of the old school tradition for it. I think there's other parts of it, but also OU being a blue blood. I do know that probably some of it all played into it, but it works. Whatever he's doing, he is selling the program, and it works. You don't have guys just like do what Evans did, do what McCarty Vickers did. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, being able to get him, being able to flip him. Look, I mean, and I mean, a lot of recruiting isn't just about stars. It's about right fit. It's about right everything. It's God. I will say though, Lincoln needs to have a good year at USC. Otherwise, man, he wrote some checks that he needs to be careful. Like that USC hype video was so bad.
Yeah.
And I've tried to ignore USC stuff because I just don't care. I've seen Lincoln Riley coach. I know what he can do. I know what he can't do. I know that having a 3-touchdown lead against Iowa State is kryptonite to him. So, but I mean, really though, even looking back at it though, I don't want to do it too much, but man, how's our opinion of Lincoln Riley changed? We don't come back against Baylor in 2019. It's a weird thought.
I know, right? It's a weird
but regardless, it's like but regardless of all that, it's right now. It just right now it's just OU has a lot of real big good excitement going on.
Yeah.
And I think that really matters. I mean, the fact is USC should be killing us as far as the rankings go. California, great location. California, nice location. Lots of stuff to do. Movie stars, cement swimming pools or cement swimming holes. They got a lot, and they should have a lot going for them. And we're just lapping them in recruiting.
Yeah, because let's be honest too. I know people love to shit on Oklahoma.
Yeah,
but Oklahoma City is the top 20 city. Like,
it is. Yeah,
population, there is stuff to do, and whether people want to admit it or not, one is one or one is the other. Norman is a suburb of Oklahoma City, or Oklahoma City is a suburb of Norman. It don't matter which direction. There is stuff to do, and you have the proximities of Dallas and Kansas City probably helping with that.
I mean, you do, and I mean, you do. It's just there. I mean, OKC doesn't get enough credit. It's like OKC is one of those places. OKC, it's like there's still a lot to do here. Dallas isn't that far. Dallas isn't that far away. If you want to do something for a weekend,
I do conventions, man. It's not that far away. It's
that's not. I say driving down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
yeah. Let's talk a little bit of depth chart. We've got about 20 minutes left, Andrew. Let's talk depth chart. Did you get a chance to look at OU's depth chart?
I have it up right now, yeah.
Gotcha. So, honestly, I'm not surprised by anything from it. It seems pretty consistent. I think it's confirmed more stuff, in my opinion, than actually, like, disproven or surprised me. Like, for example, we kept hearing that Davis Bevel was doing better than Booty and Evers, and they just said, this is what I heard going into the camps. From the reports and everything from it was obviously Dylan was going to be your starter. Like, that shouldn't be a question. There was people still saying he was not going to be the starter, and I've called them out and said, "You're stupid. I'm sorry. You are a dumbass."
Unless he had a horrible camp.
Or he got injured, knock on wood. Yeah, he was going to be the starter. Well, we have to kind of see. No, we don't. He's going to be the starter, dude. He's going to probably be here a year, but he's going to be the starter. And then it just came down to the other three. And then I kept hearing, like, Evers just did horribly. And I keep on hearing the same two things where it's like Booty has the talent, but he can't make the plays go, versus Evers, who has it up here but can't have the athleticism to make the play go. It's like if you combine them into one, it will work.
Yeah.
But it is not, and it's just horribly for them for it. And then Bevel has just been solid. So I'm not surprised there. I'm not surprised at running back either. We've discussed it before with Eric Gray was going to be the starter with Marcus Major. They're splitting reps. It's not surprising, at least for what it is. Javonte Barnes being at the very, very back for it kind of actually surprised me. I thought that he would actually be like third. I'm surprised, for what they are taking it right now, him being fourth string. Now, I'm betting he will be up there at this point for it, but I am legitimately surprised that he is not on there. The other one I would say that I'm surprised, I guess, that he's not on there. And keep in mind, I know this stuff updates weekly. Like, just as much as if you didn't catch it, Britt Minable says that his captains are going to change weekly for it. So we don't actually have permanent team captains, which, I'm going to say something that's going to stir the pot a little bit, but I don't care if we name team captains. It is what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's not. It's not
cool, but it's not my.
It's not some great tradition like English soccer or something.
Where
where like with English soccer, your captain's your enforcer. He is like there actually is a lot that goes into captain as far as like English, as far as like the Premier League goes.
Yeah, and I know I probably made some people upset saying that, but it's just it's your seniors. It's your guys. Of course, your quarterback's going to be it. Like the only time it's ever been a surprise was like when Trevor Knight was named the captain. When what's it called? When he was not the starter, but he was such a team player. To me, that's where it matters. So he was that on the field leadership for it, but it is what it is. Like, I've never been something, but it's neat. It's neat. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I am very happy for them for it because that is something that they wear as a badge of like they represent the team. It just doesn't do anything for me. But not surprised with Eric or Marcus, but I am surprised that Sawchuk's not on there, at least. I mean, I figured Sawchuk would appear. He's not on there on it. So maybe he got dinged up a bit. Maybe he's they're using it as a motivation thing. Who knows with it? But and that doesn't mean anything. Again, it's the starting roster for UTEP. It is what it is. But
exactly. Exactly. And I mean, in these first couple games, it's gonna be a chance to show off a little bit, see what you can do. It's like this is what we think for UTEP. We'll see what we see against Kent State, and then we'll see. It's like I feel like Nebraska is gonna be like the first serious depth chart of the year.
Yeah, I will say I am, at least for even UTEP. I gotta give Sean credit because he said he would not be a first string; he'd be a second string. I am surprised that Drake Stoops is not one of our starting three guys. I thought he'd actually beat out Farooq and be the starter with Farooq behind him. And I'm wrong. He is right behind them. At least as it's set up, again, as it's set up right now, you take it with a grain of rice at this point, a grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not surprised with Drake. Drake is a great team player, wide receiver, but he is what he is.
What about anything about like Jake Sexton and Jake Taylor? Do you think any of those guys are going to take a spot off the bench at this point? Or do you think they're going to are they going to shine? What do you think on defense side?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be cute with that. I honestly don't know, just because right now we have to base everything on what we think guys will do, because we haven't seen this team before. This isn't like this isn't like the it's like in many ways we've been spoiled the last couple of years where we might have a new coordinator, but we generally know how the team is going to work. We know how the team is going to run.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Venables having worked under Bob, we just don't know with the roof and Levy. We just don't know.
Correct, and I think that's also showing too. I think he's banged up as well with Jalen Redmond. That's why he's not a starter. He's in the second
Yeah.
string, as well as I think it's surprising for it. And I've been hearing this talk as well. R. Mason Thomas appearing in third string. I think he's going to be very quick to get to the ball. I think we know that talent coming.
It's yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like it said, and some of it is, it's all a team effort. They're gonna plug guys where they feel they need them. They're gonna plug in guys where they feel they need them, where they use them the best. Right now, it's like as far as like defensive linemen go, there is a difference between there is a difference between first and third string, obviously, but
but to get
guys
them
are
reps though.
Guys are gonna get plugged in. Guys are gonna get plugged in eventually.
Right, and that's where I was bringing up Jacob Sexton on the right tackle for OU, right behind Wanya Morris, as well as if I can find it, Savion Bird behind McCade for left guard. They're freshmen; they must be making moves that they're going to be on second string at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that was the
same thing with Jaden Gibson at wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Behind
I mean, that was to me, the thing that stood out to me, just looking at it, and what I think is, for the most part, other than positions where it's like the younger guy 100% won, they definitely defaulted to seniority with certain guys.
Yeah,
it's which is how it goes.
Andrew, you're telling me we're allowed to have our best players on the field at the same time? I didn't know that was a thing at Oklahoma.
Yeah, we are.
What? No. So, I think the thing that just makes me foam at the mouth that I cannot wait to see is Billy Bowman, Key Lawrence, Lee Washington, and Jaden Davis all being on the field at the same time. That I'm looking forward to. Absolutely looking at that backfield. Oh, it looks so neat. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Anything else on depth chart? I mean, again, we have to take it with a grain of salt. But
it
looks solid. It seems like, unlike Texas, who refuses to have something, it's at least a motivation.
I like the depth chart had no surprises. Like I said, we'll see how it changes between now and Nebraska. So we'll just have to watch the next 2 weeks and just see.
Yeah. Andrew, we've got about 13 minutes before we wrap this live stream up. You got anything else on your mind that we haven't talked about yet? Chat, do you have anything on your mind? We talked about recruiting. We talked about the fan vote. We talked about week 0. What else is going on? What else is going on, Andrew, in the world of football? We have our fantasy draft and pick 'em start this week. Yeah, let's. We had the recaps for that's all going to come up on week 0 or our Wednesday show for it.
Yep.
I can't think of anything else at the moment that we haven't covered yet, though. I'm having to look up a little bit to see if there's anything that I'm missing at this point.
Right now things are quiet. Right now things are quiet, which is good. There just hasn't been a super lot today as far as anything goes. Chaos starts next week immediately with the only other interesting thing that happened, at least this kind of just says everything about college football in a nutshell. Florida A&M had let's see here. Basically Florida A&M had technically 26 ineligible players against the Tar Heels.
Neat.
Well, what happened is, apparently, of course, from what I've heard with that, apparently the person who ran financial aid just got tossed the job of looking for violations or whatever, and there is an administrative deficiency that led to the ineligibilities. They shouldn't really be ineligible.
That's where I keep on saying, and I would stress it, that there are programs that just should not have football because it's too expensive to have it. One of those.
It is, because this person's probably going to lose this person's going to get thrown under the bus for Florida A&M, because the compliance officer is also the financial aid officer, who was pressed into doing both jobs when the compliance official left, and they have no compliance experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that person's fault. There was no. It's the administration. There's absolutely no way that you could just expect someone from the financial aid office to be able to understand NCAA compliance.
Yeah.
Even though the NCAA is basically a paper tiger now, there's just no good way to do it. And it's like, it's just, I mean, that's just a mess. I mean, that's just a mess for them right
Yeah.
now. No matter what happened, they weren't going to beat the Tar Heels. North Carolina was too good.
Oh,
But
absolutely. But
it's one of those things that just, it looks bad, and it just reminds you that, like, this is part of the downside of the NCAA, where it's like, yeah, some schools should not have it because these programs can't keep up.
no, they can't. And I mean, that's why I said,
Mm-hmm.
in all honesty, if we move to, at some point, I have a gut feeling that these smaller schools are going to sue some of the bigger schools because, and I know that's some crazy talk. I understand that. But they're going to sue it because they don't want to be feeder schools, and it's going to be all about that NIL transfer. And I feel like that's coming. I just don't know when. For it, they're going to do something. And I don't know. Again, I don't know what that looks like, but some schools, or they need to go down to SCS, or Division II.
Yeah, they need to do something. Let's see.
I don't really think there's anything else, though. I mean,
the only interesting thing is, once again, more on the Harbaugh thing, just to laugh at it. He calls the decision, he calls the games biblical in nature.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what?
Neat.
I feel like a lot of schools really dodged a bullet with Harbaugh because he's a weird guy, but I feel like Michigan's the only one who's able to put up with it. So
yeah, because it's Michigan. So
yeah,
Swiggy, let's just wrap up 9 minutes early. So I want to thank you for coming on last minute to join me and talk some football chat. I want to thank y'all for joining me for this week 0 recruiting and everything. Recap again. If you didn't catch it in the first couple minutes, go vote. OU is in the mythical online national championship against Texas Tech for the fan vote. They have 1 day left. Go vote. Go vote. Tell your friends to vote for OU for it. And be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We bring you the best content possible, and we can have as many people in here as possible. Wednesday, we start week 1 of our pregame show going into our first game against UTEP. Swiggy, Gavin, Justin, and I are going to preview UTEP. We're going to have our pick'ems update, as well as if we can have our special guest join us with it. We'll have a special guest about OU, a tradition, all that, join us as well. But basically, that's what's going to be our Wednesday show for the next 12 weeks at this point. So that being said, Boomer Sooner, only one Oklahoma. Good luck, OU, for the mythical online national championship. And I'll see everybody on Wednesday. Swiggy, you have a good one, and we'll see you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday. Boomer Sooner.